anchoring is a bit of an art, and in the Bahamas, with its exceptionally clear waters, one can see how one's anchor behaves and watch while it's doing its work. You can't really see it.
No, it's already diving. I can still see the arc, but the bottom part is all under the sand.
And when we set the anchor, we check it with lots of reverse power.
Okay, let me try and reverse that.
Good. It's on.
Okay, I might, depending on where the position of the anchor, I might ask you to start the engines and back the boat just to show it going in, if it's not in very deep. Lisa, you want to start the engines? Now we just put a lot of reverse on it, and it just twisted and dove in. So it's just to show how well that anchor works, even if the chain is not on the bottom. It shows very well the beauty of these anchors, even if they're not properly set. With the wind changes or the current changes, it just spun around. It just drove real deep in when it went to 3,000 RPM in reverse on both engines. It was pulling so much that the anchor chain was going straight up from the anchor, and the anchor just kept going deeper instead of going back to the surface. So that's the beauty of these anchors.
Mantus anchor. We love our Mantus. I think it's the best one we've had.
It certainly is the best anchor that I've ever used in my life, in quite a few years.
And what does Tiller think about it? So our anchor is a Mantus anchor, and the crossbar was just a little bit too close to where the anchor was placed, so they had a smaller bar put on the anchor. So Tiller went for a swim. She decided she wanted to go to that island over there, and she wouldn't come back. So I swam in with a toy. She'd look at it and keep swimming. And when she was a couple hundred yards out, I think she decided it was too far and she turned back. But she really wants to go for a walk. We're not allowed. We're obeying the rules. Joshua Lederberg is a bacterial geneticist who won the Nobel Prize for his work. And he famously said, it's their genes versus our wits. Well, we're trying to use our best wits to figure out what to do during COVID-19. And when Bahamas announced that in 2 days they were going to have a 1-week confinement lockdown with absolutely everything closed, we decided it was too unpredictable and that we'd better get trucking home. So after just a couple days at Staniel Cay and a couple sunsets, we headed off towards Tongue of the Sea, over to Andros, across to Bimini, and then to Fort Lauderdale. So the marker that we passed is similar to this one.
Yeah.
There's another one here.
Yeah.
And on the raster chart, there's one that we just passed.
Yes, and these are the old DACA channel for the route to cross from Andros to the Bahamas.
And we're just crossing from the Exumas, which are here, over to Andros. And we have to go through an area called Tongue of the Sea, shown in white here, which is a very deep area. And we're just going across the shallows. Tongue of the Sea is known because there's a lot of naval activity, submarines, warships practicing. So we want to do this during daytime so that we don't get hit by a submarine. Pierre's shaking his head.
It's happening.
So we've just put up the mainsail. Then once we get to Andros, the plan is to go up the coast towards Bimini. So then the plan is to go across to Bimini, and from there we can do a jump over to Florida, or if we decide to just ride the Gulf Stream all the way up to Boston. So we have more shallow water to navigate when we go from Andros to Bimini. We've just put up the mainsail, and now you can see Pierre's new system for taking the reef totally from the back of the boat. And the blue cord that goes up to the first reef line. So we haven't yet tried it. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the old system, but it went up all right, so hopefully we'll be able to reef if we need to. You're doing another boat project?
Yeah, there are a couple of places where the rope is going through the jungle very slowly, making a little mark in the jungle. So I'll install a few more of these stainless steel plates so that less friction and save the jungle.
The sails are up and we can see exactly where the ropes are. With a wind speed of 11 knots, we're going pretty fast. We're going 8 knots. So we think we're going to make some good time. We're just under the deep water here in the tongue of the sea.
60% of the way, 70% of the way there. So we should be there at 4:30. But I expect earlier than that because the wind should go up to about 14, 15 knots in an hour or so. Light waves because everything is surrounded by very, very shallow waters. So it's just absolutely perfect.
Best selling conditions. No waves.
We
Well, 1 foot.
slowed down a bit. We were doing about 10 knots in about 11 knots of wind about half an hour ago.
8 knots.
But the wind just dropped down to 9 knots now through wind. So our boat speed has dropped to 8 knots. But as soon as it goes back above 12 knots, then we're going to go back about 10, 11.
We have lots of power in the batteries, so we don't need to turn the generator on while I'm cooking.
The state of charge is 69%. So we are drawing right now 70, 60, 70 amps at 24 volts, which is about 1 kilowatt because you have cooking sausages. I don't know why.
I'm cooking Beyond Meat sausages that I could buy in the store in Long Island, which was incredibly well stocked with all sorts of products you can get in the US.
And the total voltage of the battery is 69% state of charge. And this is the full battery available from 100% to 0%, which is allowed in this display.
it is, the system. And it seemed to work. Pierre said he had to think about it. It did it all by itself. And of course at the mast watching for the first time reefing. And then he just pulled the green cord which reefs the back end of the sail. And if you look ahead, it looked like a good time to practice reefing. Don't know if we're going to get that storm over there. And you can just see land in the distance. And this way, if it looks like it's hit, it'll hit. We don't have to reef, we just roll the coat deep.
I said, I have 2 females on the boat.
Is that good or bad? Well, we're anchored. The anchor's very well set. And we're anchored at this little inlet. There's another boat coming in. And there's how much current? How many knots? Can you tell?
Well, you saw the buoy, which was almost underwater by the current.
Yeah.
So I would assume probably a knot and a half.